WF representing Palace, so let's tell you about Palace. Rolling straight to the ceiling, crowns and crystals, top flight journeys, dishing out malice. Hold up, South London's grandest, far from bandits. Anything earned for a goal of elevation, just passing the team over here might finish that bright future we can't vanish. SE25 any day, that's Selhurst. Rev up the engines, no more reverse reactions, fan cams, bands on stream. Share up the team, support the dream team when Eagles fly, make noise and scheme. Dare to dream or dream to dare, taking a step to become supreme.
Yes, hello everyone, and welcome to another TACT-EAGLE stream on Wednesday, because obviously we played QPR last night. And in case you were living under a rock, we went there, we did a vlog. Check out the vlog and our thoughts on the game yesterday. I'm sure everyone's got their opinions, but you can see ours on the vlog. Anyways, new day. JC, how you doing?
I'm good. Shattered after last night because I didn't get home until late, and I had to stay up even later editing. So didn't get much sleep.
Smash it though. Managed to get all of it out like on the same night. That's well.
There was minimal editing in it. I can't lie. It was just cut, image, cut, a little bit of music, cut, upload. So I've done it in a record time. So I'm not proud of it, but we got it out, and it is what it is.
Fair enough. Either way, though, still massive fair play. And as I said, if you haven't watched it, check it out. It's on the channel. But yeah, I have to admit a mistake today.
Ooh.
So unfortunately, in the background, it does say that it's a 3:00 kickoff on Saturday.
Ooh.
But by the time I realised that the thumbnail was wrong, it was too late. So just to clarify, it is at 5:30 on Saturday, when we'll be getting our arse handed to us by Manchester United.
Or will we?
Well, I guess we'll know for certain by the end of it, but I don't know if I'm that confident, to be honest. But without further ado, I can't see any comments in the chat so far, but I don't know if that's because I don't know how to use. There we go. Big up, Chairman. So I am using this right, because this is the first time that I'm actually not here as a guest, because for some weird reason, Streamlabs doesn't like it when you sign in via YouTube for some reason. So, but I've got all of this here. I've got all the videos. I've got all the transitions. I can change the background. I can do everything. But anyways,
unfortunately, he has the power now.
I have the power. And the first thing I'm going to do with my power today is we're going to go into the predicted 11.
Very, very, very smooth, Dan.
Thank you very much.
The predicted 11. We know what we got to do. We got to talk about injuries. Let's go through it. So, Charlie Riyad is out until the 7th of December. Quite a while out.
That is a long time.
França is back on the 5th of next month, so not too far. Trevor Chalobah is got a potential return date of this game, and it is at a 75%, so he's pretty much going to play this game. So that's a very good sign. And Rob Holding still has beef with Glasner, so he ain't playing. Moving on to Manchester United, they've got quite a few injuries, and none of them are available back for our game, but they will be for their cup game. So they have Lenny Yoro injured, Tyrell Malacia injured, Mason Mount injured, Victor Lindelof injured, Luke Shaw injured, and Rasmus Højlund injured as well.
It's Roy's son, isn't he? Rasmus Højlund.
Rasmus Højlund. But we have gone with this as my predicted 11. So here we go. In goal, I've got Dean Henderson, Mitchell, Gay, Lacroix, Chalobah, Munoz, with Wharton and Lerma in the middle, with Ebbs, Mateta, and Nketiah up front. Dan, would you agree with me And is this the layout you would put our 3 centre backs if it was your choice?
Assuming that Chalobah is back, yes. The reason why is because I don't think. Maybe this is me being quite harsh, but I do think that kind of suits where they sit. I mean, starting with Lacroix, he played right centre back, occasionally middle centre back at Wolfsburg in a back three. Sorry, in a back three and a back four. And he's very quick as well, so he can make up that pace. He's not from what I've seen, he's not a massively aggressive defender either. So it's not like he's going to be coming out of position loads. I think he's aggressive when he's aggressive at the right times. I think it's a good way of saying it. And I think obviously before we had Anderson there, his aggressiveness was good. I think Lacroix is going to be that guy again. Obviously, he's only just started, so we haven't seen a lot, but I think he will be that guy. Chalobah, well, he played there for Chelsea. And I mean, as much as we like to mock Chelsea, like they're still playing European football. So, you know, they're a decent side. He's played at a decent level. He's won, I'm fairly sure he's won the Champions League. He's won the Premier League. You know, he's a good player. Gay, I personally think Gay's better on the left. I think watching yesterday, there was a lot of balls. I don't want to single out Richards, but he did misplace a lot of passes. I think if you put Gay in that position, I think a lot less of him go astray. Also, as well, I think Gay is better on the left just because I don't know if the centre really suits him that well, just because, I don't know, I just don't think it does.
Yeah.
I feel like when the ball, I think when, say, like a ball gets kind of pinged behind him, I don't think he really is fast enough with his mind to recover, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I would have said a little bit more because of the fact that, granted, he's a centre back, he's still 6'1", but for me, a central centre back, you're going to be up against the big number 9, aren't you? So you've got to at least match them for physical presence. And I think that's probably where Lacroix comes in handy there, because physically he's a beast and he's 6'4". He's much bigger than Gay, and even potentially Chalobah could play there as well because he's 6'5", I think, so he's even bigger.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, absolutely, and I think Lacroix's aerial numbers, I can't remember what season it was, were like 60-70%.
And I think also with Mark, if you're in the middle, you can't really utilize the fact that he can dribble forwards. And with Glasner's system, the two either-sided centre-backs, they move up, they support in the attack, they dribble forwards. And with Mark playing in the middle, you're losing that part of his game completely. Whereas that part of that part of Lacroix's game is not really there, but it's a main staple for Mark's game. So having him on either side will allow him to go forwards and to utilize what he can do. And I actually think you'll see Mark play better on a wider role compared to straight down the middle.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, no, with our formation, the only thing I do think, I don't know. Sorry, Decore's not injured, is he?
No.
No. All right. I do wonder whether Lerma will play. I do think he might start Decore. So I think Decore didn't play with that in mind yesterday. See, the thing is, without going on too much on a tangent, I don't know if Nketiah suits that role. So I think he will. I think Glasner will play him there and will continue this whatever this experiment is. Personally, though, I would actually, honest to God, right, what I would do if it was me being the manager, obviously I don't get paid the money to do it, so I'd probably talk a load of waffle. I would actually put Nketiah up top and put Sarr on. And the reason why I say that is because I think Munoz has been so isolated on that other side.
Because of Nketiah coming in inside.
Yeah, exactly. He's moved inside. And then all you need to do is basically block if the right side of CM is having a bad day, or say Chalobah can't get forward enough, then, he's on his own, basically. Whereas Sarr is happy to drift out wide. And then you've kind of got that dynamic like we had with Elise, where, you know, he's left-footed, so he'll move inside. So Munoz has the option of either going on an overlap or going on an underlap.
Mm-hmm. Because in Belgium, he had a right-footed winger, so he was doing an underlap, and he scored so many goals in Belgium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's because he was doing the underlap, and he was just sort of picking up goals in and around the box, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. But I would agree with you. I think this is probably a better setup, but with... Oh, where's he there?
Yeah, I mean... Yeah,
But
I do think
with Mateta's
he'll keep that.
scoring ratio at the moment, like he's top like two goals in a game where he was shocking. He's not going to get dropped in the league, is he?
No, I don't. Yeah, so I think Glasner will play that. I wouldn't necessarily though.
Mm-hmm. I think that this is probably our strongest lineup still at the moment. I feel like Nketiah is probably needs to learn how to drift out wide a little bit more. But he's 25 and he's played most of his career exactly where Mateta is. So his natural instincts are going to draw him inside. And that's where good coaching is going to come into it. But I think that in this game in particular, the fact that he draws himself inside, I don't actually think is too much of a bad thing. But I think we'll get into that a little bit later. Moving on to Man United, they play a 4-2-3-1 kind of formation. I've gone with Anana, Dallo, Martinez, De Ligt, Mazraoui, with Maino, Ugarte, and Fernandez in the middle, with Diallo, Rashford, and Xerxes up front. Are you in agreement, or would you change maybe Ugarte for Ericsson?
Yeah, that's the only thing that potentially I would swap, or expect them to swap, but otherwise, yeah, that's exactly what I would imagine.
Yeah, I think because also you Diallo, that could be Garnacho.
Yeah, that's true. That could be Garnacho.
Ugarte could be Casemiro as well. We just don't know. But because of their injuries, Xerxes is really and truly the only striker they can play.
Yeah.
So we know what we're going to get, but he's one of them players that everyone's clowning at the moment because he keeps missing sitters. But the fact that he's getting into those positions, they're obviously going to go in the net against us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I have got some players on their bench, such as Casemiro, such as Evans, such as Maguire, and that may or may not lead into what I will talk about a little bit later when I talk about how we could attack them or how they defend.
Cool. So, who's gonna go first? Who went? I can't remember who went first last time. All right, I'll go first then. So, I'm doing the attack. Right, attack. Right. So, how do Manchester United attack? Sorry, let me just make sure I'm doing this right. This is the screen. Oh, I've got accept. Oh, there we go. Yeah, cool.
Big up Luke saying 4-0 again.
I couldn't see that comment. Get it? John Cena. I mean, I wish it'll be 4-0. I don't think it will be, but
I don't either. Also, they're going to be upset that they lost 4-0 last year, so they definitely ain't letting that happen to them again.
No, absolutely not. So, first thing you'll notice is if you watch it on Sky or wherever it's going to be, TNT, Setanta Sports, I don't know. They'll have it as a 4-2-3-1. Does it stay like this? No, it doesn't. So, how do they line up? I think the most, actually, before I do that, I'm going to show you some stats. And I think this will kind of illustrate, as a general idea, how they play. And maybe kind of illustrate how you're expecting their system to change throughout the game. So, Man United actually rank second in XG in the Premier League so far this season, which blew my mind because, you know, obviously they haven't had the greatest start. by their standards. So I was surprised to see that only City had more XG than them so far this season. And I thought, okay, well, maybe did they just maybe have loads of XG against, say, Southampton or something like that? No, they didn't. In fact, the lowest amount of XG they've had in any game so far this season is 1.4, which, you know, that's pretty good. That's pretty decent going, really. So I thought, okay, how? Why? So they actually ranked 10th for the number of shots they take in the Premier League this season, which then leads to a logical conclusion, and the stats back it up, that they just make very good chances, don't necessarily make a lot of them. So, in fact, that is true. They have an average non-penalty expected goals per shot of 0.15, which is really high. Like, I think last season, the team who had the highest had 0.13 on average, and they've got 0.15. So, yeah. However, this season so far, and I think this is going to play into our hands, but they actually have the worst conversion of XG in the league so far this season. So they've actually got minus 2.9 XG this season. Yeah, so far, which in 4 games.
That's a lot.
You know, that's what 0.75 per game that they're missing. And I think that is probably because they don't have Hoyland's been injured. I don't think Ratchford's finished his chances. Fernandes has not finished his chances. So on and so forth. Funny enough, though, do you know who's second bottom?
Us.
Yeah, us.
Hey.
And yeah, just going into it. So obviously, second for expected goals, you think, okay, maybe they've touched the ball a lot in the opposition box. Not really. They rank 9th for touches in the opposition third and 7th for touches in the opposition box. So they're not like, you know, always in the box. I mean, they are in there quite a lot, but not as much as maybe you think. And in terms of their passing structure, they rank 5th and 6th respectively for short and medium passes. Just to clarify what they are, short passes are up to 15 yards and medium is between 15 and 30. And anything longer than that is a long pass. They rank 17th for that. So you can clearly see they are very allergic to those long passes, let's say. And the fact that they like to play out so much, I think, is demonstrated in the fact that they've got, on average, the 3rd shortest goal kick length of any team in the league. And yeah, I think those are just some stats which kind of give you an idea. So they're very much a counter-attacking team, or a team that likes to generate transitions. And I think this is true because, to be honest with you, when a team... Actually, no, I'll save that bit for later. I'll tell you how they play first, actually. So let's say they've got the ball. It's a goal kick. So Onana's got a goal kick. Like I said, they have on average the shortest amount of goal kick in the league. So they're probably going to kick it short. So how do they set up? So generally speaking, I've seen different ways of doing this. It depends on who's playing. So I'm just going to do it with the players who are here. So Eriksen tends to push up a bit higher. So let's say Diallo's here. Diallo keeps the width. Fernandes pushes up next to Xerxes. Eriksen will then also push up into this kind of area. And Mainu will generally be kind of like a lone pivot, but also Mazraoui will also invert to try and make, and they basically end up looking kind of like this in this sort of first phase. But certainly what you'll see, regardless of who plays, is that you'll see basically a shape that kind of resembles something like this, regardless of who plays. It is a bit lopsided. That's intentional, I think. Now, let's say Casemiro played instead. Dallo would actually push up into this. And Casemiro would drop it kind of like a 3-3-4 in this sort of part of the pitch. But I assume he's not playing because he's been terrible recently. So let's say it's kind of a bit more like this. So it's kind of like a 3-2-ish. But it's important to note that it's not rigid. It's not always going to be like this. Sometimes Dalot will push up over here. But obviously he's right-footed, so actually he tends to underlap a bit more, so he might be a bit further inside there. Pause. Mazraoui might convert all the way into the midfield. You know, sometimes it will be a bit more like this, and then Mainu will just be the lone sort of pivot. But also what they like to do is they like to use Onana as one of the players, one of the outfield players. So sometimes, let's say, Dalot might push up over here. Mine will still be that kind of little pivot. Mazraoui will invert inside a bit further if he needs help. But then Onana will actually kind of act as one of the other players. And the reason why we do this is, well, it's pretty straightforward, really. Generally, what managers tend to do these days is try and generate overloads in different parts of the pitch. The reason for that is because obviously, like if you've got a 2v1 versus a defender, then you're probably going to get past that defender, and that's why they do it. Now, obviously, if you introduce the goalkeeper as being an outfield player, you're already doing that. Like, let's say Onana was all the way back here, and it was just De Ligt and Martinez there. You know, you've got a 5v5 in the middle of the midfield. But as soon as you introduce that extra player, and Onana is very good on the ball, in my opinion. You know, you're acting as an extra player. So now it's a 6v5. And it's going to be easier to try and bypass that, you know, that press or whatever. Okay. So their aim of their game then is to utilize this space. Once I find, where is it? There it is. They try to use this space in behind. And obviously, we were talking about our defense earlier. Having someone like Lacroix there, it's going to be very useful to have him. Because when they get this ball, they're not going to lump it long. But when they do kind of get the ball into say, like the middle of the pitch, like let's say Mainu's got the ball here, so on and so forth. Let's bring those players back a little bit. You know, Diallo's a very good runner. Rashford's a very good runner. Dalot is going to try and make an underlapping run here. Even Fernandes, he's happy to run in behind as well. And so is Xerxes, really. They're always trying to do this. And they want to make our back line face our goal. How this happens, like I said, when they're in the middle of this pitch here, sometimes it might be over the top here. Sometimes they might pass it out to Rashford. And then let's say Rashford gets the ball in his like here, and our defenders are say here. Again, they're going to try and continue this run. And eventually when they get there, he's more than happy to flash that across the box. But the thing is, we've seen how they play before. So we kind of know, like, this isn't new at all, to be honest. It's kind of rehashing like what we've seen from last season.
Yeah, it's just a bit of 0 to 100 football, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
A little bit of nothing passing around the back, and then someone looks up, sees a run, long pass, whether it's on the floor or in the air, and then they're running at you and goal.
Yeah, no, it's exactly that. And I think maybe it's important to kind of talk about how they maybe try and how they do pass so quickly, perhaps. So what I will say is that, let's say Martin has got the ball here. It's like
They sacrifice having a proper number 6 to have 2 pivots instead of like a proper defensive midfielder who can break up the play. So, like, because Mino's not that kind of guy, Eriksen's not that kind of guy, but they're both ball playing players, so they're both feeding into that way of going forwards, but it may or may not help going the other way because they're not physically as strong as you may need to be in the Premier League to be a defender.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it is evident because, like, say, for example, Martinez pops a ball into there. When Eriksen gets it, they like to... I don't know how to explain this, but like they like to like pop it back to someone nearby. So like Mainu's here. And then Mainu will then pass the ball then, let's say, out wide to Diallo, for example. That's the kind of play that they do. Like they just like to pop it off, little short passes to each other. And then that's how they try to transition. Another way that they like to transition as well is they're happy for a lot of the play to move over to one side. We kind of do this as well. Well, we try to do this as well. So let's say like mine is over here, Eric's over here, blah, 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 right? So that and generally like teams when they defend, like us, you know, they'll drift over to the other side where the ball is. So let's say Dallo's got the ball. What they like to do as well, and this happens on the reverse. Let's say if it was on this side, if the ball's on this, if the ball's on that side of the pitch, they'd happily, you know, what is going on here? Hang on a minute, what is going on? Right, that's fine. Like if the ball's over here, like they're what? Okay, what is going on?
He needs a new mouse. He needs a new mouse.
No, I think I clicked something, but I don't know what. What the? Right, let me just take it out and put it back in.
Oh yeah.
Pause. Right, let me. Okay. Why is it being so? Oh, I know why. Sorry, that was highlighted down there. Okay, right, that's why. But yeah, sorry. So if the ball's on this side of the pitch, they'll be doing the same thing and pinging it to Rashford instead, for example. And the reason why they do this because, like, if they get that ball to Diallo, obviously by the time the ball travels that far, obviously our players would have moved over a bit more. But Diallo just has, you know, a few moments to be able to get around our player. And to be fair, I wouldn't bet against Diallo doing that. I think he's really, really good on the ball. And Rashford, when he's on top of it, again, he can also go past the player as well. And that's how they'll progress. And then obviously, if they've gotten past us, you know, you're in that same situation again where they're exploiting the behind here. And so on and so forth. And of all the chances I've seen them create this season, that is generally how they tended to create these chances. What I will say is, though, they aren't very good at breaking down low blocks. But one thing that they are pretty decent at when they are in a low block, sorry, when the other team is defending in a low block. So let's put us in a low block here. Okay. One thing I will say, and this is probably something that actually would worry me, just because I know what our players are like, is, right, let's put him, say, over there. They're quite good at fashioning chances that lead to them being able to cross from this kind of like deep area, this side and the other side as well. And when they do that, they always cross it to like this kind of area, like the back post. Like they always do that sort of like little diagonal into the back post. I guess sort of because like if you think about it, like if you look at the
so almost a similar cross to how we actually conceded against QPR.
Yes, actually, yeah. Like it's like a little sort of flat kind of cross. You know, if you look at the trajectory of the ball, you're probably going past like 2 or 3 of their own players. And that is something that would worry me because I do think that is something that we are quite vulnerable at. That kind of back post, especially this side over here where you've got Mitchell and Gay. Obviously, we know Gay isn't the best in the air. And Mitchell, I do think, has that tendency just to fall asleep if someone's... I was about to say something really pawsy then. Someone is going to head the ball from behind him. So yeah, that is something that would worry me. But how do we sort this out? I mean, I do think, to be honest, being in a low block against them, I don't think I saw them create any chances when the other team was in a low block. It all came from like transitions and stuff like that. So I think, okay, yes, they are good at fashioning these crosses, but as long as we're smart about it, we're making sure that perhaps when, say, Rashford receives the ball in this position, if he's trying to get him so he's facing an angle that makes it awkward for him to cross, then good. And then the same, like if Dalot moves in here, again, and he receives the ball, again, the same thing. We just need to make sure then they're not at an angle that they're going to be able to do that flat cross. But also, and to be fair, I can see why you've put Lerma in now, actually, in that midfield. Because obviously, if we are in these transitions, and let's say Mainoo receives a ball here, and like he's managed to receive it on the turn or something like that, then we could potentially be in a little bit of trouble because if one player loses their man, we know Mainoo can just pop passes pretty much anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
If someone loses their man and gets in behind, then it's squeaky bum time.
Yeah, because I chose Lerma just because
he's got better legs in the midfield.
The pace, the energy, and also the one that I don't know if you're going to talk about it a little bit more, but I thought that his jumping ability for set pieces from Man United would be very important because De Ligt, as a centre back who's only 24, he's got 34 career golden assists as a centre back, which is crazy.
Yeah, that is, and in fact, he's actually already got a goal this season from a set piece. So actually, that is a very good point. That is a very good point. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like everything else I was going to say, that's kind of it, really. I think we can press them a little bit. Like we saw Liverpool pressing, but then I don't think they'll play Casemiro again, which he would be the guy that you would aim to like kind of trap into a press. I don't think Eriksen. I don't really know a lot about Ugarte, so I can't really comment. But Eriksen, I think is pretty press resistant. Mainoo's pretty press resistant. So I think it's going to be a difficult one to try and get a press. I think the best maybe we could do is kind of trap them on the outside and then force them. Like we just basically force them wide, and then shut off the inside passing lanes, and try and do something like that. I don't know what Mazraoui's passing range is like, so force them down the line and then try and just win perhaps like a throw-in over there or something like that. That I would say is probably the best thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, and obviously, and JC's point about De Ligt being really good in the air, I don't really have a lot else to say. As I said, we've seen them play so many times now. It hasn't changed really. So yeah, I would be scared of it. But I do think there are ways around it. So I don't think we're going to get absolutely pummeled, but then I think we will concede the chances. And ultimately, I know I said earlier they're bottom for converting those chances at the moment. But, I mean, all it takes for them is convert 2 of them and then we're up, bad creek. So that's it, really.
100%.
Yeah. But yeah, was there anything else you wanted to add, JC? I'll go through some comments after.
No, I think for me it was just the set pieces, and also with Onana. Granted, he may be a little bit flappy hands. He's got a similar passing range to Ederson, so you will see a few times a game where the goalkeeper will try and go route one straight to the striker to run him behind. So we'll have to be switched on at all points in this game.
Absolutely. And I think as well, an underrated part of his game as well, his throwing is ridiculously good. I think his throwing is really good as well. So that's something that we need to watch out for. Obviously, it's a bit easier to do that.
He's a goalkeeper that's very switched on. If he sees someone in space, he'll kick it, pinpoint on them every single time.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right, I'll just go through some comments very quickly. So, Mitch saying, yeah, what I learned from last season is we always beat these guys. Should be simple enough. I think on the right day we can beat them, but I always say against these kind of teams, you need to
You need luck on your side.
Yeah, exactly. Like we need to make sure they will. Like I'm sure they will get chances. Whether they take them or not is down to them.
One thing that Dan didn't mention at all is with Man United, you don't know what team is going to turn up. Like, you could get the Man United that we smashed last season, but then you could get the Man United of you could get a Ten Hag team of them getting to the Ajax getting to the semi-finals of the Champions League. Like, it's such a big sway in what kind of team you get from a Ten Hag team.
Yeah,
don't know. Yeah,
definitely. Big up Spiritual. Is Chalobah back fit? You say it's 75% chance, wasn't it?
75% that he'll be back.
Yeah, so hopefully he is, but we'll see. Take out Mateta.
According to preminjuries.com.
According to Prem Injuries. Take out Mateta. Why Mateta is improving? To be honest, I don't think he's playing bad. I don't think he's necessarily playing badly, but he looks knackered. Like, I mean, obviously, Glasser knows a lot more than me, but to me, on the pitch, he looks tired. And I don't know if Mateta and Nketiah at the same time isn't necessarily working at the moment, but we'll see. This game's going to be a high-scoring game. More than 4 goals are going. Yeah, honestly, it really wouldn't surprise me. Diallo's going to have fun versus Palace. Yeah, I think so too. He's such a good 1v1 dribbler. And I think if he gets isolated against Mitchell, I think he'll go past him, to be honest. Sarr, Eddie, Eze. Yeah, that's what I wouldn't mind seeing that. Eddie just walked in. He's not going to bench. Maybe not, but then, like I said, I think I think Ted to me just looks knackered. Rich saying, big up everyone, big up Rich. And now, JC is going to take us through the defence, which I'm sure is going to be really fun on a Ten Hag team.
And by fun, I hope you mean not very long, because they don't really do very much in defence.
Hello, yeah.
So, funny enough, they defend exactly the same as Leicester do. How do Leicester defend? And funny enough, and Everton as well. How do they defend? So, they will be very compact when it comes to width. But where they sort of fall apart is they're not compact when it comes to the length of the pitch. So you'll see not much space in between here, but you'll see a much more space in between here. Oh, okay. Oh.
Is it happening to you too?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think it just highlights something like really random, and then it highlights the text.
Yeah, just a quick click here and there, but they'll squeeze up like this. The wingers will drop back. Fernandez will go forwards a bit, and Xerxes will come right a bit. So they defend in a 4-4-2. Not the end of the world of a 4-4-2, because with a 4-4-2, you can always have 3 players pressing at all times and still have 7 players behind the ball. Not the end of the world, but you can easily play through it if you've got quick thinking players, press resistant players. Because if you're pressing with 3 people at all times, if you keep switching the ball, they're going to get very tired very quickly, and it's going to be a long day for them, basically. So, not very compact. And one thing, even though it may or may not actually be for how they defend, but this is mostly how I defend in a low block. But normally, with how they defend, you catch them on a transition. And the reason why I say that is because you will see them set up like this. They'll look to dominate possession. They'll look to have their centre backs as high up the pitch as possible to keep the tempo high, to keep the ball recycling. But with them up so high and the fullbacks up even higher, it only takes one ball in behind to undo all of it because they are so high up the pitch. And granted, Martinez, he's a decently quick centre back. Dallo and Mazraoui, both decently fast fullbacks. Delict, not so much. Granted, he may be an absolute unit. He's a beast in the air. He's strong. But my God, to take him a good long while to get going. And there are ways that I think that this can be manipulated a little bit into our favour, but I'll get into that a little bit later. Both centre backs are extremely aggressive, incredibly aggressive. So if you take this as an example, let's say that centre backs are here, just as an example. Let's say that Eze's got the ball about here. Let me get a ball. Mateta drops. He passes to Mateta. What you will see is you'll see Delict come out of his line and follow Mateta all the way until when he touches that ball. And then the second he touches that ball, he's going to nibble at it. He's going to try and get the ball. Every single time he's going to nibble at it. And that can be exploited, I think, because what happens if the centre back leaves a space? Nice ball. I don't think there's anything more to say than just in that situation. Because of how aggressive they are, this could happen on both sides. I think that the side that it will be more effective on will probably be on Martinez. Granted, I'm going to say what everyone says when they talk about Man United and Martinez. He's short. He can't defend. He's surprisingly good in the air for how short he is. Let's get that right first. But someone who's 5 foot whatever is not going to beat Mateta in the air for a header. And especially, this is why I said that I think Nketiah would be quite a nice player in here. It's because if this pass comes to Mateta, we could actually see something a little bit funky going on here. Instead of a ball to feet, you could see Nketiah actually lift the ball because Martinez is brilliant on the floor. One-on-one defending on the floor, he's incredible. But if you lift, if you see a dodgy pass, you think, oh, that's a bit dodgy. If you could lift it with speed towards Mateta, he could nod it on, and then Nketiah runs through. And because it's high, you won't be able to stop it. It's a little bit funky. Probably would never happen, but it's something that I just thought it's so strange that no one would expect it. And that's a way that you could just get around someone being short just by taking advantage of how they are, just because of just because they're short, basically. This may or may not have come because people used to do this to me when I used to play football, but it worked. So if it works in the playground, and these guys did it in the cages, then it might work in the Premier League, no? The South London Ballers and that. Anyway, but as I said, because of them coming out and they're being so good on the floor, they've actually got a very high percentage of actually reclaiming the ball when travelling out of the back line. So if Mateta's dropped deep to get the ball, and Nketiah's given him maybe a weak pass, let's say, that isn't fizzed into him, so it goes straight to feet, there's a very good chance that Martinez either gets a foot in, gets in front of him and grabs the ball and then starts a Man United counter-attack because of that. It's very possible. But now I'm here to talk about how exactly I think we can attack Manchester United. And it involves a similar premise, but I think there's two main ways that Crystal Palace can benefit from playing in this play style. The first one, we actually did it against QPR twice, and I think once it happened with Eze, but Eze took a touch too many. He tried to go towards the goal and just cut across when he should have shot, but that's something completely different. What I am proposing is that this is the reason why I think Nketiah should play instead of Sarr right now in this game, particularly. Because Nketiah can come short and actually build up the play. He can pick up the ball, turn and dribble forwards. Granted, Sarr is probably more than likely capable of doing this. No worries. But I've seen it from Nketiah a lot more than I've seen it from Sarr already. But, oh, I just kicked my mic. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So Mateta is 1v1 with Delict. And then what I would like to see is Nketiah pressing the back line with JP here, with Eze on the ball. Obviously, you'd have people coming towards him trying to cut out these passing lanes, blah, blah, blah. But it all starts from someone dropping in. If Mateta drops in, Delict will follow. And what we actually saw is that with this move, we saw Eze pass the ball round the outside of where Delict has just moved from, and then Nketiah's make a nice diagonal run to meet lots of free space, because the centre-backs always think they're going to go straight for goal. But if he's pressing, the second that ball comes, darting diagonal run, and with his quick build-up of acceleration, he'll get away. He did it against QPR, just fluffed his lines a little bit. But we've seen Nketiah do it for us against Leicester. We've seen him do it against QPR. And he's actually scored most of his goals for Arsenal by doing this run. A nice diagonal run can take out a whole back line because one person steps out of line. And because we play in that free system up front where all three of them are so closely banded together, a quick move like this could all be one fluid motion. JP comes short, and then Eze hits the pass already, even before the centre-back steps out of line. And then they're already in. So it's a very quick movement of the ball, which could make a hell of a lot of space with not actually that much decoy, if I'm really honest. Another one, but this is probably more aimed at Nketiah and Ebbs. So if the ball is, let's say these guys are pressing the back line again. Let's use Eze as another example. And I'll use Nketiah as the example for this one. So with what we've already seen, if the ball's fired at Nketiah, how many times have we seen him body feint one way and kick the ball the other way? And like that's in like a non-dangerous area, in like the middle of the park.
Quite a lot.
Let's say we're about here. Obviously, there'll be a lot more players around, but just as an example, if Eze has the ball and he hits it towards Nketiah with pace, so Nketiah can trap it and then he's got time to do something. If he does that and Martinez overcommits, Nketiah feints one way, goes the other way, what's going to happen? The ball's going to move goal side and centre-back's going to go absolutely flying, and he's going to have a one-on-one chance with the keeper. It could be done in this situation. That could be done a little bit further up the pitch, and then you can see Mateta running in and the pass can be played. There's a lot of ways that we can take advantage of a centre-back being overly aggressive, and these are just two very simple ways that just a little bit of individual brilliance or a little bit of teamwork can just unravel completely. There's no point talking about how Man U press because they don't. But I thought that the more and more I looked into it, the more and more I found holes in just how they play.
Oh yeah, like they're probably like one of the most open teams like in the league. Like it's ridiculous,
big time. And the thing that I've seen the most, and for me, if this is a game for Eze to thrive in, this is the one. In transitions, Man United are exactly the same as us. The second you play through that two-man midfield, the midfielders aren't going to bust a gut to get back. They will happily watch you run up to their centre backs. And a prime example of it is Kobe Mainoo. Incredible footballer, incredible technical ability, passing, shooting, built like linking up the play. Incredible. He's just not defensively minded enough to get in a tackle, pull a man back and take a yellow so they don't get through. He's just not that kind of player. And there's been multiple times where I'll use Eze as an example because I think that he'll be the one that would do this. There's been many times where a team in the Premier League has got one striker. Bear in mind, we'll have probably two strikers doing this. One striker pressing the back line, keeping this line in check as they retreat towards their goal. And the midfield too, they'll just follow the ball carrier in this space. So even though right now this space doesn't actually look like that much, but it's a huge amount of space because you could literally carry the ball from here to here and still have the same amount of space with the ball. Just because they don't want to get involved. The midfielders don't want to take a challenge. And for me, that's why I put Ugarte in, because he's an absolute master of yellow cards at PSG. And when he was I think he actually played with Chadi Riyad at Real Betis, I think. If I remember off the top of my head. But stuff like this, I think that is a Google in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's either, I think it's Real Betis.
Sporting Lisbon.
There we go. Same colour of shirt.
Yeah, same colour.
There we go. Let me check my notes. Yeah, obviously if they play Ericsson there, not really a tackler. They play Casemiro there. He's probably not fast enough to catch up to Eze if he's running towards goal. It is what it is. Now, the important one is if they are winning or if they are trying to lock out, they have many times they have sacrificed one or even both of their fullbacks, and they've brought in a Harold Maguireinho and Johnny Evans, and that makes their backline extremely slow. And you know what we've done lately? Whenever we've, I guess, wanted to get a goal,
you guess.
More pace. Yeah. So their late game strategy is less pace. Our late game strategy is more pace. And I think that there's not really much explaining that I need to do to convince you of how that would be a good thing in our favour. But the thing that I think is the most important when it comes to bringing on Sarr and keeping on Nketiah later on into the game is someone that really and truly Chairman isn't very impressed with.
Qua.
And I'll give you a stat here, Dan.
Go on then.
Maxence Lacroix has played 2 games for Crystal Palace. QPR and Leicester. In those 2 games, he has completed 15 long passes. That is an 82% completion rate for long passes.
That's pretty good.
That is nuts.
I bet Anderson's wasn't.
Do you know what Anderson's is in the Premier League? And he's only played 1 game for Fulham, is 57%. So, granted, we may all sit here and say Anderson's long balls are better. They are faster. But clearly the Quars statistically is more accurate. So if you got Sarr and then Nketiah running in behind and you got Lacroix hitting those balls over the top, then, you know, it starts to get very interesting when you put slow centre-backs in the mix as well. Because late on into the game against QPR, Lacroix was the one banging it forward. It wasn't Mark, it was Lacroix.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. What else have I got here?
I've just had a look at Anderson's stats. I'm not trying to downplay him or anything, but the highest he actually ever got for long passes in terms of a percentage was 57.8%.
And then I think the last thing I just wanted to say is Onana, flappy wrists, just shoot. We struggled with shooting in this season altogether. Just have a little bit of confidence, express yourself, shoot a little bit more, and you could get something. Even at how he scored, Elise scored his 4th goal. He had no right to score that at the near post. It wasn't even in the near post. It was in the middle of the goal. He just let it go because Onana's just not very good when it comes to positional awareness within the goal using his hands. Brilliant with his feet, but just with his hands, he's not all there. But I think the last thing that I need to say is we're not going to smash them in this game. This isn't going to be what happened last year. It's just everything. The stars all aligned last year. We were in unbeatable form. I think we probably could have beaten City in the run that we was on at the end of last season. But Man United aren't going to let that happen to them again at Selhurst Park 2 years in a row. They have made slight tactical changes. Granted, their defending is bad, but their attack has gotten better. They have got a little bit more patterns of play, as Dan has showed. So it's going to be a tight game, but it's going to be a tight game because both teams are going to score here.
Yeah, I agree. Just going to do the last comments and then we'll do some score predictions. And then we can get to watching some Champions League football as well.
Shout out Michael, by the way. A brace on his Champions League debut.
Yeah, fair play to him. They beat Dinamo Zagreb, wasn't it?
9-2.
Not 9-2. Which, sorry, missed Alf's comment. Beat Barnsley, Southampton. Think they're Real Madrid now. Yeah, I mean, I know they battered Barnsley yesterday, but I think Barnsley are in League One. Southampton, I think will go straight back down. So United play a weird 3-1-6 formation. Yeah, they do. It is a bit odd. Mine is like the only pivot. The back three seems to depend on who's playing. Sometimes the fullback will push up. Sometimes if Casemiro's playing, he'll drop into it and so on. Delict and Martinez will play. Delight. What a delight. Delight came on yesterday.
I saw it's not related to this game at all, but I saw a clip of Troops and a few of the others that do that new podcast thing, and they were cussing Virgil van Dijk, and they were saying, "What's Virgil van Dijk do? All he does is point. All he does is tell stuff what to do." And then they went, "Virgil van Delegate." I thought that was class.
That's really good, actually. Virgil van Delegate. No, it's too late, Rich. He's called Delight from now on.
Yeah, Delight, Virgil van Delegate.
Matty Delight.
We will be there.
Right. Score predictions. I think you went first last time because you chose a score that I was going to choose.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually go with the same score that I was going to go with last week. I'm going to go 2-1 to Man United because I think they'll. I just have a feeling they're going to take their chances on Saturday.
We've been playing rubbish. Let's be real. My heart wants to say 2-2. I don't see it, man. My head's telling me 3-1 United.
I was thinking about 3-1 United, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-1 United. I think that even though they're losing players, it's just if you play for a big club, you've got that big club mentality just instilled into you already. Just that winning mentality, and I think sometimes, even if you've not got the better players on the pitch at the time, sometimes that winning mentality just drags you through. That little bit of extra confidence. But then again, we were sitting in this situation last season against Liverpool, and look what happened. That kicked off our season. And this is what was this now? The 5th game in the Premier League now? This is around the time that Glasner starts to get his first win.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm slowly convincing myself into changing my prediction and going, you know what? Yeah, 2-2. 2-2.
Oh no, we're gonna get battered now.
If we get battered, blame me. I'm going 2-2. Back the boys.
I want to, but I can't. I'm sorry, especially after yesterday as well. I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah, yesterday. You know, yeah, 3-1. 3-1.
Flip flop.
My final prediction will be in Discord because I can't decide right now.
Well, anyways, is there anything else you want to say, JC?
No, thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe.
Thank you for watching. Now I'm going to end the stream, but I don't know how long it takes after I click that button.
No, you have
So,
to click it and you have to click another button.